of that experience and that clarity and those observations, he was able to lay out a lot of things in a clear way. This is what I aspire to do myself, right? And try to be like Thor and be able to deliver real clarity to people so they can solve their own problems. Because Red Pill Space isn't about giving you the solutions per se. It's about helping you understand the problem, identify the problems that you are in fact having, like I did, and then address those individual problems with the correct methods and the correct understanding. And that's hard to do. It's not easy, but Thor made it seem effortless.
Yeah, no, he really did. He really did, and I really do like that. It wasn't until more recently in my career that I've worked with teams that kind of had that mindset that Thor did, of that like uplifting and the constructive criticism, and then the don't criticize somebody publicly unless they absolutely need it. You know, so many different psychological tactics there. But Vidar, I want to turn it to you. Tell us what it was like growing up with Thor.
Well, you guys described a lot of what he was like growing up. He was the same way, even from when he was little. He's my big brother, man. He's probably the best big brother that anybody could want. He took me under his wing on a lot of things and helped me in a lot of ways and protected me from a lot of different things. He was quite inspiring his whole life. He would help me many times when I was struggling with just that, having um, giving me encouragement, giving me little tidbits of wisdom to keep going. He's quite the man.
Yeah, I think it really is. It's so brilliant where he always and it's one thing that I love about Josh, who's another part of Men and Now here alongside Kevin and myself. He always says, "I don't want to eat at that table unless all my friends are eating with me," and that's exactly how Thor lives life. Is he doesn't want to be there unless he's with people that he loves and cares about. And Thor always gave more than he took in, which I think is an incredibly noble trait that I think gets lost because we got numbers and crypto and all these types of things going on each and every single day, and tariffs and world wars and whatever. But it doesn't matter. It's always give more than you take in. And that's one thing that stuck with me.
He always wanted people. He wanted to leave people better than when he was with them, whether it was just a one-time meeting or whether it was a friendship over a friend over for the night or long-term friendship. He always wanted to leave them better than they were before.
Right.
And that's a special trait to have nowadays, especially in the space, because Red Pill did start going down a negative hole, in my opinion, just my opinion. But it's evolving, and that's what I preach on. That's my book that I've been working on for almost 2 years. Is going to be evolution from the Red Pill, and I think that's what Thor wanted. He just wanted to help. He wanted to leave a better impression of yourself than you had before. And I think that's what's great about it. And this is going to be a little long-winded, guys, so bear with me. But this is why the space can be so important. About 4 years ago, I was on YouTube after Alpha M and How to Beast, David De Los Morenos, great guy, still watch his stuff, even though it's very redundant. Found a guy called Rich Cooper, Entrepreneurs in Cars, kind of liked what he had. He mentioned a thing called the 10%, a group that they had. And so I wanted to jump on board, check it out. Within 3 days of being in there, I met a guy named Jaron Scott, met another guy named Bentley Ham, and then met another guy named Josh Beasley. This is about 3 years ago. And it's because I wanted to take the next step. Instead of just watching content, I wanted to be a part of a group. And then the 10%, they had their setup, which was a Facebook and a monthly meeting, which was great. After the third meeting, I had gotten so close to Bentley, who normally ran those meetings, that he wasn't able to make it. He had been pulled over. He called me up and said, "Hey, man, I can't. I'm going to send you the link. Can you run the show?" And dude, that gave me a confidence that I didn't even know I had. because these meetings would have up to 30 to 40 people in it. So I threw something together real quick. We had a great meeting. And then from there, we progressed. Me and Bentley have met in person. Me and Josh have met in person since then. I've since parted ways with 10% a long time ago. However, by joining that group, I got to meet Jaron Scott, which we're still regular friends, which introduced me to Alex, which Alex introduced me to Thor. And that's how building this network of just taking that next step of maybe getting out of your comfort zone to join a group or join a community can metamorph into what we have now. And that's what it's all about, is networking and learning and meeting, learning from people, leaving people if you have to. But then if I wouldn't have made that step of joining the 10% 3 years ago, I wouldn't be in this group right now with you great men. And that's what I was getting at. And I knew it was going to be long-winded, but I hope that makes sense, that by joining like-minded men and evolving with them, you create a great thing like what we have right here now. And that's what Thor wanted.
Yeah, I said something because I was commenting on something that Gia said about networking, and I said, yeah, a lot of people don't seem to understand like networking. Like they talk in the RP space and whatnot. Your network is your net worth and all that. They talk about it a lot, but I see a lot of people that think networking is basically going around pitching people for your ideas and your business. And networking at its core has nothing to do with that. That all that shit comes after. Networking at its core is about being able to go anywhere, talk to anybody, and make friends, forge friendships with those people. And that's how you build real business relationships. Because when you can actually be friends with somebody and not in like, we're just friends of loser convenience, like the high school buddy mentality, right? Not like that. I'm talking about like forging, finding out who is actually worth being friends with, right? You start up a conversation and maybe they're just an acquaintance then, or maybe you get off or, get along better. And you're like, okay, well, let's trade information and let's like maybe meet up sometime and have some fun. Like Kevin said in the group, it wasn't just that he joined the group. It was that he took the initiative to make friends with people in the group. And then they're like, hey, this guy seems to be pretty good. Let me give him a shot to run this shit because the time, this needs to happen. And I think I can trust him. So let's pass off the baton and see what happens. Guess what? It worked out.
You know what makes a really good group too? Because you can have like a group where it's all business guys talking about business. But what works better is not that they're all trying to pitch each other on their shit, right? It's more like, hey, man, I'm stuck in this. Like, how do I get Twitter ads to work right? Like, how do I get Facebook ads to be profitable? Are you having any luck with that? And they're like, oh yeah, I got a guy, right? Let me hand you off to my guy who does whatever. Like, that's where real business networking can be extremely valuable, where guys aren't looking at each other like competition. They're looking at each other like, hey, let's lift each other up. Oh, you need a hand with that? Oh, like I know a guy, right? Like, or, oh, I know how to do that. If any of you come to me, right? Because I've self-published 4 books now. The fourth one's coming out on the 6th. If anyone can come to me and you're like, man, I want to publish a book, I need help formatting it. Dude, I'll do it for free, man. Just pick some time. Like, let's have a Zoom call. I'll walk you through it. I was telling Apex Mindset, because he was telling me he was thinking about writing a book. He just didn't know how to do it. And I was like, dude, I'll walk you through it. Don't worry about it. Like,
I will definitely need your help when the time comes when I finally finish my book. Yeah, I still got the first phase of it done. I'm still adding stuff to the framework, though. That's my issue. And with everything going on, it hasn't taken priority, unfortunately.
Don't let perfection get in the way of good.
Yeah, well, that's not the issue. It's just so much stuff going on.
But Laurent, I think you had something you wanted to raise up before. I saw your hand.
Oh, I was thinking about networking. It's interesting. My conception of networking is, for instance, when you want to find a mentor, you always mentor up, right? You don't want to be mentored by somebody lower than you. I mean, not lower in terms of value, human value, or whatnot, but somebody who knows more than you, who has more wisdom. And I always believe my thinking about networking is you're not walking asking, you're walking thinking about giving. Giving. Think about giving. Like, what can I bring these people? What can I bring these people? And you know what? Naturally, there's what Cialdini, like, who wrote this book called Influence. He talked about the Baha'is. You know, the Baha'is, like in airports, they come and they give you flowers, and then next thing you know, oh shit, I'm gonna have to buy their book now. Because it's reciprocity.
How do you think I'm selling my books? I'm at the airport with fucking flowers.
But that's very true. That's like what Fresh has talked about on the podcast before about adding value. And that's one of the principles I've used is like when I go into these sort of situations with people, I'm not sitting there telling you guys, you know, how you can help solve my problems and how I can do all this work for you and stuff like that. No, I'm going like, if I notice that you're having an issue with something, I mean, hey, I might know something, right? I might be able to help you out with that if you'll hear me out, you know, and it's very casual and laid back when you get, you know, into that mode of it. But it comes down to like, are you a man of quote value that's just trying to help other men solve problems, right? Trying to get the rising tide to raise all ships rather than going like, oh, what can I get out of this? That's what I see. Too many guys, you know, they're trying to do the elevator pitch thing. You know, like, oh, how can, you know, they've come into the Fresh and Fit Discord. Hey, can you tell Myron that I can do his thumbnails for him? Just like, you do realize you're like person number 7 that has come in.
No, you're
last
person
week
like 17 in the
that
line.
says that they can offer thumbnails, but you don't understand. They've already got 5 motherfuckers on doing thumbnails.
They're all Hustler University guys too.
Yeah, actually, that is true. 3 of the 7 were Hustler University. No joke. So, and
I had a
you gotta
Hustlers
respect
University
the
guy
hustle.
doing some clips for me. They do good work.
Exactly. You got to respect the hustle, but the thing is when they don't understand the full context of how to apply the methodology, that's when they struggle. And some of them did listen to me, right? There was like 2 guys out of the 7 that I talked to about this. That I said, you do realize that, you know, this is kind of a bad framework to be operating from, because you're trying to solve a problem, but you're also doing it to solve your own problem. And a lot of manipulative people are going to do that. So if you're elevator pitching people, they're immediately going to be doing the, like, what the fuck? This motherfucker is just thinking about himself, pretending to think about me.
Ultimately, you end up seeing through that kind of person. And one thing that I think you can all agree on, that Thor was very genuine. He helped people without the thought of wanting something in return, but ultimately knowing the universe would return it to him.
Exactly.
And he was very quick and willing to help. I know back when we started years ago, 30, 40 years, 35 years ago or longer, when we started jiu-jitsu, and he would go to, after a while, he was going to Torrance because he could drive down there, and I wasn't being able to afford it. So he would come back and he would teach me, and we'd work out together. After about 6 months of training, he told me he wanted to start a jiu-jitsu club where we'd have more people, more different bodies to train with. It would help them to learn jiu-jitsu. It would make a nice club, and we would benefit from it, from being able to train with guys with different body types. I told him I didn't think I was ready to start teaching. And he said, that's the beauty of it, is it's going to make you ready. It's going to make you a better practitioner. You're going to be a better jiu-jitsu player, because now you have to think about every move and how to teach them. And it's true. His little wisdom there was 100%. You start teaching in a lot of different things. You may know it, but once you start teaching it, you quickly start becoming an expert at it. So he had that wisdom there. But he also had, Rorion Gracie told him one time, that was back then, he said, in 10 years, Americans are going to dominate Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And he asked him why. And he said, because you Americans can't keep a secret. And that was absolutely true with my brother. When he would receive a gem of wisdom, he was very happy to share it with someone who would want it, including with jiu-jitsu. We didn't realize it at the time until later on that Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, they would teach you moves that they would keep very quiet, that they knew how to defend. So you didn't learn this stuff until later on, and as a black belt, brown belt, that there were actually sneaky counters to their moves that you could watch some of their early videos and see they weren't teaching you that way. And that's where our culture is different. As soon as we'd learn that move, we'd want to teach our friends. And that summarized how Thor was, that he wanted to teach, didn't keep secrets, didn't hold back. Oh, if you want the real secrets, you need to buy this. If you would ask him
You
and
just
you
sign
would
up
coach him,
for $1,000 a month to
Yeah.
my exclusive program where the secrets have all been found out for you.
yes.
That's called business.
Yeah. Well, and there is a right way to do it. There's a right way and a wrong way. Like, because that's another one of those fallacies that people will say is like, oh, well, you're grifting because you're making money. It's just like, no, when you're scamming people, that means that they're not getting what they're paying for. Right. And the thing is, when you have a majority, like, there's always going to be some people that don't get value out of the product. But the question is the majority actually getting something out of it? And if you go to a lot of these places, doesn't matter what the community is, most guys actually do get some value even out of the places that are more or less almost overtly grifting. But people don't want to bring light to that, because what is the real point of the accusation? It's to discredit. And it's not based on real discrediting information, because otherwise it would be specific. It's broad generalization to say, nope, you just don't know how it is. I know the real truth. And that's just the human need to be right.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
let me
interesting.
let me say a little bit more, maybe explain it a little more what I'm saying. He didn't give information out to people that didn't want it or didn't come to him personally, but he was very willing to help those of his friends and people who did come to him. Very well.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's the same thing.
like I
talk
said,
about.
his
you can only help the
programs,
willing.
his programs are fantastic, and to buy them or to get coaching from him was well worth it. But all of his information is out there. You just have to take the time to go through everything to get it, you know? Or
Yeah.
you could get it all concise in one of his programs or books. But if you were one-on-one with him, you talked to him, he was very easy to reach. And that's the way he always was with friends and everyone. He always left men better than when they arrived.
And
That's why
that's
he was
been my biggest issue. That's one of the biggest lessons that Thor taught me.
Mhm.
And it also is kicking me in the dick in my business myself, because I want to give too much and I don't charge enough. Like that guy, Paul Bauer over there. I don't know what he's up to. Selling some crazy courses and changing people's lives. I don't know. It's there's an inherent nature that Thor had to just share as much as he possibly could. And he didn't care about money at the end of the day, because the money was not what was important. And I just think, going through so many years, the Dragons memberships, doing the presentations alongside some of the special courses that we did, like Game 9000 was so much fun. But it really is just cool how he just wanted to give, and he saw that at the end of it all, by giving so much to the world, he had so many people ready there to give back.
Yeah.
And I think that was a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
Well,
that is a beautiful thing, is when you awaken a spark in somebody else to make them want to come out of their shell, maybe get a little uncomfortable, and start presenting their ideas without being judged. Whether they may be outlandish, they might not be, but even if they are, as long as you're comfortable enough with the circle that you're in to start sharing your ideas and start having the confidence to build yourself up, that's a very special place that even a lot of guys with best friends that they've known since high school can't do that, because their ideas might be good, but the other friends or the other circle, they don't have the capacity to either help them with that or even encourage that, so they don't try at all. And that's, a big thing that's really stuck in my life here very recently is, the saying is, I would rather try and fail than live a life of regret. And unfortunately right now, that's not pushed on people. At least try. You might fail, but at least you tried. But when you're 20 years down the road and you look back and regret, that's a worse fucking feeling than not trying at all. And unfortunately, right now, men are not taught to think freely and not to innovate and not to try. That's why there's so few outliers out there that are actually doing it and they're thriving at it. And I encourage every man, at least fucking try. Get some consulting, get some knowledge from someone older or somebody who's been there, but at least fucking try.
Yeah, a lot, and that's real quick. A lot of social circles, as I encountered this myself, not only will they not encourage you, they will actually shame you for your masculine behaviors, for having boundaries and standards and stuff like that. And the thing is, it may not be very overt or direct, but they'll usually make a joke out of it. Yeah. And like low key, like you know, kind of.
No, that's a problem for you.
It has been in the past.
Are you insecure?
Yeah. And it happens, man.
That's what you get from a certain group, you know, but it's up to us to push past that and not let that affect us.
Exactly.
And to keep going and realize they're the ones that are wrong, not you for having your own ideas.
Yeah. Sorry, Tarl. I didn't mean to shut you out there. I was just making a joke about the whole thing because that's how it sounds. And
you're right. I've experienced it. You know, like, oh, well, that's kind of mean or whatever it is. Like, just make a joke out of it to be like, oh, well, aren't you a boss or something like that? You know, if I say, yeah, I don't let my girl treat me that way. You know, well, why do you let your girl treat you that way? And just like, oh, I guess I'm not a boss like you or some, you know, sarcastic bullshit, you know, and just dismiss it and try to clown you for it. And just like, yeah, but I'm actually trying to help you. But I digress. I think Laurent wanted to say something.
Yeah, I think Laurent, you had something to share there, or are you in the middle of a trade that's going to make you another $5 million?
That's right. I'm back into trading. For the longest time, I didn't want to trade. I mean, I had issues, so now I've consolidated accounts and I'm actually writing stuff. But the thing I wanted to say is go for no. There's a book by the name of Go for No, and there's a TED talk about it where an Asian dude, like he did 100 days of like asking the most like silly things to everybody, like walking up to somebody, hey man, would you give me $100? Okay, cool, done. Wait, what? Or like going to a bunch of chicks, hey, can you give me a hug? Yeah, sure, why not? So the whole idea is go for no. And basically, if we get to fight for our limiting beliefs, we get to keep them. So always go for no. And I realized like actually it's the same, you know, like a sale. If people always said yes, there would be no need for salesmen, right? Yeah. By definition. So sales start when at the first no. And actually I use that like when flirting with chicks. I say the most outrageous thing and they're like, it's so refreshing to finally find somebody, a man with balls.
Yep. Yeah.
So, yeah, that gets you a lot further than the masses of guys with no balls.
Exactly, because guys play not to lose, whereas with them you need to play to win. By the way, if you hear some birds, this is because I live in the forest, and with the sea over there, and there are plenty of nightingales. So this is nightingale season.
Yep.
Oh man, if only we could all live such a free lifestyle as you do. I love it, Laurent.
It's a shame in Tokyo, Japan, with a beautiful background and nightingales. Yeah, I live in a gated community. I think I have it good, but no, I see I'm wrong. But Paul, I know you got to jump.
I think Paul, you had to jump. I want you to just share with everybody kind of how you're forwarding your own work and the things from Thor and all that type of stuff as we go forward.
Man, yeah, I got a lot of irons in the fire right now. Obviously, I've been coaching dead bedroom guys for a long time now, and I have a book on that. This Saturday, I have a workshop for guys that are in long-term relationships that need to rekindle that spark. So that's happening this Saturday. But for guys that have just gone through a breakup, a divorce, a long-term relationship. They can't stop thinking about their ex, but they know they need to move on. They just can't stop thinking about her. My next book is coming out here on June 6th. It's called Forget That Bitch, a Red Pill Guide to Breakups. It's the second book in my Red Pill Guide series. And for a limited time, because you guys need to get over your ex, the best way to get over her is to get under 10 other bitches. I've got my my dating course that I came up with a couple of years ago. We're taking $100 off of that. I'll drop that in the chat. And that's good until Friday at midnight. Oh, it doesn't look like I'm able to comment that. So I'll drop it in the private chat. Maybe one of you guys can share.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and copy it over.
Yeah, but $100 off until Friday night at midnight. You guys could take that course. That one, the secret sauce of that course is showing you guys how to use Facebook proper and Instagram to actually source women, because a lot of guys, they hate the dating apps. And where I'm at, I'm out here in cow country. There's no cold approach in the cow pasture. That's what the name of the course is about, because I had to learn how to meet women online, because meeting women out in town was impossible. I live in rural ranch country. When I go to the supermarket up in Cedar Edge, it's all retirees and old people. If you go to the bars, they're always deserted and dead. There's never anything going on. So meeting women organically, they're all online. And a lot of guys hate the dating apps. I get that. So I show you how to source women like your Amazon shopping for chicks in this course. And it's $100 off. Take advantage of that. Okay. Other than that, I think I'm going to be streaming with MLD in an hour. So tune into MLD's channel, and if he's streaming, I'll be on there. It's like he recently moved, so I don't know what's going on with that guy. And then otherwise, tune into the podcast tomorrow. We're going to be talking about why you can't get over your ex. So that's what's going to be on the podcast tomorrow.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And you're streaming, what is it, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or have you upped it?
Yeah, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Absolutely.
Just do a search for the Come On Man podcast. Okay.
Come On Man podcast. Well, thanks,
All right,
Paul.
guys.
It was great to have you in here.
It's
And
good talking to you guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, we'll see you guys later.
Skull.
Good seeing you.
We got another friend here. I don't know if he's
I'm
ready and
here.
available.
I'm just working through some technical difficulties. I just
man.
swapped
Everybody
my living
speaks
rooms
the
around.
book.
And before we move on, I wanted to springboard off of what Laurent said about going for no. Is that, that's something that I've been trying to draw attention to, is that I see a lot of guys talking about how, oh, Me Too and girls are too hypergamous and stuff like that. I'm like, motherfucker, this is literally an old movie trope of guys being too scared to ask the girl out to the fucking dance or on a date. Guys have always been scared of girls. They just have more excuses now than ever to be scared of them. But they always had bullshit excuses. What is the first excuse when we're little kids? Oh, she's got cooties. Like, what the fuck is cooties? Like, we got this like inherent fear of STDs, right? Which is smart, and you can't really argue against that. But at the same time, it's just like it gives an irrational fear to deal with the opposite sex. Why? Well, because they don't understand it. We fear what we don't understand. And that's what I try to draw attention to, is like, if you understand women, you can approach them without fear. But if you don't understand them, then yeah, you got to be a little scared. And that's where I see most men are just coming up with modern, Instagram and this and that. That makes you, women, I can't do it. They'll Me Too me. It's just like, okay, yeah, if you come up to her like a sweaty fucking twitchy freak, then yeah, she's probably going to pepper spray or something like that. But if you understand to wash your ass and groom your beard and shit, you might have a chance.
Yeah, it's not that difficult. It's so crazy, like how much everything has kind of changed and how clueless guys are. And that's what I thought was like really, really brilliant about everything that, Thor kind of preached and Thor talked about, like behind the scenes, is just giving the logical approach of how you're supposed to handle things. And I don't know why that's so lost. Dude, I try and search Google and I can't even get my answers. I need to go through like filtered versions of ChatGPT just to finally get it to filter it out to exactly what the information is I'm looking for that's not curated. And then when I attack it about being curated, they come back at me and it's like, well, that's just the guidelines that we're given. And I'm like, I didn't ask for guidelines. I thought this was a search engine.
Well,
Okay.
this is the problem.
Well,
This is the problem.
that's the thing with AI is it is literally just a little bit smarter than your old school machine learning. You feed it the inputs that you want it to start looking for.
It doesn't.
You got to teach it.
Well, and this stuff is more or less lost knowledge at this point. Why? Because most of this stuff used to be, because this is why, like, women get mad when men have to be taught this stuff, but men were always taught this stuff by a fathers, grandfathers, and uncles, you know, male role models. The thing is that when a lot of the bad ideas got introduced that, you know, kept things in check, you know, oh, you need to check your masculinity at the door like a gun rather than just be a man. You know, that's where, you know, happy wife, happy life came in rather than, as Thor pointed out, it used to be happy king, happy kingdom. But they switched it up. Feminists switched up. I actually looked this up and he was right. Yeah, some feminists fucking switched that up on purpose and that stuck.
Yeah, a man didn't come up with that motto. Happy wife, happy life.
No, it was a
man
feminist
didn't
man,
come up with
actually.
that. Not to be
It was
toxic
actually a feminist
masculine
man.
when I say it, but I would say happy spouses make happy houses is what I would say.
The saddest thing
your
for
spouse
me,
is not responsible for your happiness. You know, it's not your job to make them unhappy. However, you're not responsible for their happiness. That's on them.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about that one.
I want to jump here.
Women will be happy when you're happy. That's the thing. And if they're not happy when you're happy, they don't really like you and you should leave them.
Yeah.
Well, I want to jump here and I want to just give an introduction to both AJ and to Rodoku. We're going to see both of you guys. So I want to go starting with you, AJ. I want to hear your favorite story about Thor, whatever that may be, whether it be a lesson, a time meeting him, a time talking with him, whatever.
Oh, man. There's so many of them, but I think the one
I know there's a lot.
Yeah, I think the one that sticks out probably the most for me. I know Elliot was in there. I know you were in there. Was the Game 9000 webinar, specifically, like just Thor going over the game that he spits in there, whether you want to do like harem game. But there's one moment in there, and it's related to you, where Offie literally said, "That is the most white boy shit I've ever heard in my life. I am both disgusted and intrigued. Tell me more." That was probably one of the funniest moments with Thor and everybody involved with Thor that I ever had.
Man, dude, that was so funny. That webinar was fantastic, and
that webinar was spicy.
It was really cool to be standing alongside people like Thor, Offie, Sterling Cooper. Was there one more?
No, I think it was just you had a little presentation, Offie had a presentation, Sterling and Thor had presentations in there.
Yeah, so it was the four of us. And dude, it was just so cool to like finally stand alongside the people that have kind of like trained you and coached you and like gotten you to the place that you are, and then have them look at you like an equal. I mean, I think that's something that every man kind of deals with, especially with their father, reaching that certain level where they can actually have their father see them on the same level playing field. And it's really hard for a lot of guys to get there.
And I think I finally felt that when Thor invited me onto the Dragon ship, which then that in turn opened up the doors to start doing like D&D with Vince and Rolo and those guys. So.
All right, Rodoku.
I'll give it to Elliot.
Yeah, Rodoku, I want to hear from you. I want to hear your favorite Thor story, and I'm sure you got too.
Well, my favorite story, I've told this once before, but it is quite funny, so I'll tell it again. So this was probably about four years ago at this point. I had only just been introduced to Thor. I've known him for a couple of months at this point, maybe, so still very new. And yeah, I was just kind of running through girls at the time, going through the dating apps. And Thor told me, he was like, "How is it going? You know, like, show me some of these girls." And I showed him some of the girls, and he was like, "That's really good, but I don't see any dragons in there. I don't see any dumpster rhinos."
Oh, no whales.
He's like, "These girls need love too. You swiping left on all these ones, yeah?" And he said, "You should. There's one here that I showed him. I was like, well, she's not completely terrible." And he was like, "Yeah, you should talk to her, ask her out." I was like, "Well, I don't know about this though. Like, she's a bit big for me, like over 200 pounds. That's really big." Anyway, I committed to the plan that the master had in mind. Anyway, took the girl out, brought her back home, did the deed. It lasted about 20 minutes, and then I literally just had to say, I tap out, I'm sorry. Can't do any more. That's all you're getting. Sent her home, and then spent the next maybe 40, 45 minutes just kind of sat in the shower, just reflecting on my decisions over the last sort of 3 or 4 hours at that point, just thinking,
But hey,
was it a mistake? Was it not?
It gave you an experience.
It gave me a lot of perspective that I would not have learned otherwise, and I can pass the lessons on to other guys as well.
Hey man, savage math. 3 threes is a 9.
Yep, that's what he always says.
5 twos is a 10, bro.
I got 9 more to add to my
Hey,
nacho.
all right, hold on.
Exactly what Thor would say.
This is not what Thor taught us.
Actually,
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. He even mentions
I'll ingest though. I'll ingest.
Yeah.
Unless you have a good opportunity.
Justin Waller. Yeah, he gives Justin Waller as an example where like Justin would go out to the clubs and dance even with the fucking 2.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm kind of that guy too, though. So I'm kind of a jackass. But I don't know. It's just fun. I just like having fun with people. That's what life's all about. And that was something that, I mean, as you guys can see, like with me doing a lot more Legos, and this is like nothing. I got the entire new set there. I've got an entire Lego room. This place is out of control. AJ, when you come visit me again, good luck, boss, because they're really.
God, it's gonna be worse.
It's so much worse. It's not even funny.
Oh no.
But what I'm honing it back to is that one of the most brilliant things that it came with some tough love sometimes too from Thor, but forcing me to actually be myself. And we find that we move from groups to groups. We move from companies to companies. Like everything in life is always transitory. But it's once we kind of find what fits our actual like goals and an internal resonance of self that we actually become happy. And for some reason, we deny ourselves to do what we think others want. And we're just inhibiting ourselves from actually living the lives that we're meant to live. And that was something that he really kind of like pushed on me that really resonated more. And then getting back into the Legos, getting back into some of the creative fields that I had not done in a long time. Just bringing that fire back into me that, what drives me is my internal spirit, not the way that others perceive me.
Yeah, and that's going into my favorite Thor story, right? It goes back to a lesson that Thor and I both learned the hard way. And coincidentally, in an MLD's mastermind, I found out it was actually the same year, 91. So Thor went through, he hit the live line, blew the skin off his hands and all that, and had to do all that crazy reconstructive surgery, which he could still use his hands, which is a miracle of science. People don't really understand that he was even able to function as well as he could, even up till his passing. After going through that, like
working in the electrical industry, like my side of data centers, like that's my medium voltage, 12,000 volts. I'm surprised he survived at all, to be honest with you. That shit's fucking deadly. Like we isolate everything we can when we go into the 12,000 volts transformers.
How dare you? How dare you say, I can't believe he survived that as literally a god amongst men, a god of thunder as well at that.
I mean, well, just understanding what it does to a human body.
Yeah, but it's bad.
The thing was that what was the lesson that he learned, right? The same lesson I had to learn. So my thing is type 1 diabetes from a virus when I was 6. So, and I did the urine test, which came back negative. So then we went on a 2-week, 14-day vacation up north, like looking for properties to build a log cabin out in the sticks. Right. So I'm going through the first week, it was like mild ketoacidosis. And then the second week, it was severe acute ketoacidosis. My blood sugar ended up being like 1,000. So as a 6-year-old, I went through some excruciating pain, and then they couldn't get an IV on me. So I was getting poked in all extremities and all sorts of crazy shit, So I went through not maybe as much as pain as Thor, but the thing is that I was
Yeah,
given
wait,
the
hold on.
choice.
Let's
was
pull
given
that
the-
back right
no,
now.
no,
What are we
but
doing?
I
We
don't
trying to
want to lose the
compare
lesson.
that?
Huds, I don't want to lose the lesson. The point is that we both had to go through that because we both had a choice. Thor, he had the choice between actually checking the line like he was supposed to and assuming that he did it and it was fine. And we know how that went. And me, I was given the choice between the urine test and the blood test. The blood test would have given us 100% accurate results, whereas the urine test was only 40% successful results. Okay. And because I didn't like needles, I had to basically go through that. And now to this day, I still have to take injections. So me being a kid that was afraid of needles, the lesson is that if you avoid the short-term discomfort, then you may end up experiencing long-term discomfort, delayed gratification. And that is a harsh lesson that Thor and I both had to learn at the same year, but it's a valuable lesson. And that's my favorite Thor memory, was when I got to share that, realizing that in the moment with MLD's Body Language Mastery Mastermind after Thor gave his presentation. So, and we kind of bonded over that because when we both realized we both went through incredible physical turmoil, to say the least, and at the same time, despite the difference in our age, we kind of like, hey, yeah, man, we know the struggle.
Yeah, very different, but the lesson is still there. And it's funny that you say that too. It's like, just because I didn't like needles, I actually have a piece of skin cancer on my back that got removed. But because I didn't do the full removal, it's now like permanent. So like I still kind of get an itch because the nerves aren't right. And that was all just so I could swim in a pool that weekend. And I didn't even go swimming. So it's like, what are we even doing to ourselves? And I think that's, just being smart about your time, being smart about life, and really captivating who it is that you are and what type of life you want to live.
Yeah, it's hard to be smart about time, because time is it's the only thing we don't get back. And I don't mean to be morbid about this. The passing of Thor showed us a lot of that. And Vidar, I'm extremely sorry for your loss, sir.
Thank you.
But knowing him led me to you. Now we're friends. And I talked about it earlier, like reaching out, using your time wisely, using your time productively. It helps you. It will never hurt you. And I want to share this story. I haven't even told Alex knows, Josh knows, but even the guys who've met him now don't know this. I recently lost my position that I was at for 3 years as a business development manager for a small contracting company that paid very well. And out of the blue, about 3 months ago, I was told that the trajectory of business development wasn't where they wanted to see it. So they had to let me go. Now, we did come up with a very generous severance package. And it wasn't, you're not doing your job, you're not doing what you want. I took it that way because I take things personally, as a man should. But it happened. And so for the last 2.5 months, I took some time to feel sorry for myself, like you should. But then a realization of where I was brought and ingrained as a man, you got to go find another job. But being around men like we have in this panel right now, and men that I've known before, I've decided that I'm not going to do that. I've decided to start my own business because I do have severance coming in, and I have a very healthy liquid emergency fund that I can start my own business. And if I didn't know men like on this panel like Thor, like some of the other men I've met in this space, not red pill, not black pill, not none of that, but men that come together to share ideas, to want to be better, I wouldn't have had the confidence to say, you know what, I'm going to fucking try. Because I've always wanted my own business. Now I know what I want to do. I know what I can do. That's what I'm going to do. If I fail, I fail. At least I still have my health. At least I still have my house. At least I still have my car. I still have everything that I had before I started it. But at least I tried. And what I'm getting at, guys, and any young man that sees this, if you have an idea, if you have a passion, if you have a goal, go after it. Because time you will not get back. But regret will live with you for the rest of the time you have. And I hope that fucking makes sense. I'm getting a little emotional right now, and I'm sorry about that, guys. But knowing guys in this panel, knowing guys in this panel, knowing guys that we have at the Men of Now, knowing guys that I've met in the 10%, knowing guys that I've met from the Dragon Ship, it lets me know that there's still a way to be the fucking man you want to fucking be. And if you don't do it for yourself, no one else is going to do it for you. But when you join people like us that have your back, even if you fail, you're still going to win. And that's the last thing I want to say on this fucking podcast. Because if I didn't know Thor, if I didn't know Vidar, if I haven't met AJ, if I hadn't met Paul that was here earlier, if I didn't know my friend Alex, my friend Josh, my friend Jaron, I wouldn't be able to say, no, fuck getting, I don't want to get another job. I've had those for my entire adult life. I'm ready to start my own thing. I wouldn't have that if I didn't have a community like I have with you guys. And Thor and the other guys that have a good intention in the space, those are the ones you want on your side. Those are the ones you need on your side. And I want to be one of those. And I'm going to be one of those. And that's the message I wanted to bring from this whole show. And I hope that resonates with everybody in here. Because we all have the same goal, the same passion, and we want the same outcome. So I want that to resonate with anyone who sees this from now for 20 years from now, that Thor, his brother Vidar, AJ, Alex, Laurent, Elliot, we all want that for ourselves. And we got to get that. And if you can't get it by yourself, find out some people like us that we can get it together.
Very
Sorry
well
to go on a
spoken.
rant, but
Yeah, it was a good rant. You know,
Appreciate the passion.
I saw a sign. I was just flipping through memes one time, and there was this one little meme that came up, and it was after my father died, and right before he had his stroke that took him. For about 3 days, when I was driving to work, I'd tell myself, "Oh, I need to call my dad. I need to talk to him." And then it's just, "Oh, I'll call him later today." Then later today never happened. And it was about 3 days. And then I got the phone call that my dad had a stroke. I got to spend a little time with him in the hospital before he finally succumbed to the stroke. But this meme was very poignant, kind of like your little rant there, but it needs to be driven home to people. And this little meme was just words. And it said, "The problem is you think you have time." That's all it said. And that is the truth. And what you said about giving a little work that and you may fail, is nothing compared to a lifetime of regret.
Yeah.
So it was a very good rant, and it's very good. And I will tell you guys that going through this, the loss of my brother, has been so healing to see how many people he has touched, that his legacy is going to live through, and the people that love him, each and every one of you, I appreciate that more than you'll ever know. Thank you.
No, I thank you, and I thank your brother. Just like I thank Tarl, I thank Laurent, I thank AJ, I thank Elliot, my good friend Alex. We should all thank each other for having each other. We should be
We
thankful.
only know each other because of Thor. Let's think about that for a second. I wouldn't be more involved in this space if I didn't meet Thor through MLD. That led me to meet Kevin, who only got in here because also rubbing elbows with Richard Cooper. Tarl worked a lot with Fresh and Fit and those guys, and he's been involved in this space for a long time. You guys were all in studio together, right? Yeah. So like,
Yeah,
that's
to go
all
back to
through.
October 2022. There's a Money Monday where I gave Myron the Yu-Gi-Oh card. So anybody wants to go back and watch it, they can.
There you go. Laurent, I only know you through Thor. And we have developed such an amazing, amazing friendship. And I love you to death. What does that mean?
That's a Japanese thing.
The Korean chicks, they always do that too. That means love.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love you too, man.
that's love. For the Korean chicks, when they do that, it means love. So it's funny because the other day I was in the boxing gym, and this is a boxing gym where they're like where a whole bunch of pros, and I walk up to Matsuzaki-san, like you over there. I love you.
Oh, I love it. Oh man, I love it. I think I'm going to taunt people at the gym with that. But okay, hold on. Let me land my point home. So, and then when we think about you, Elliot, it's like, where did our relationship really develop? It was through the Dragons membership. And then when I look at AJ, like AJ, you came on to the Dragon ship after I had been on before. And then you were part of it. And then I came back on and we developed a relationship right off the bat. So if I look at each and every single one of you here, all of you exist in my life because of Thor. That's a beautiful thing.
The same thing can absolutely be said for me, as I've met all of you because of Thor.
Yeah, and that's another one of those things like you mentioned before. We should be, thankful. And that's one of the things that I remember Thor talking about on one of the last episodes where he spoke when we were doing a podcast with Glenn, was talking about gratitude, right? Thankfulness, right? That's the thing. That's one of the reasons why I've been able to kind of have that abundance mindset all my life, is just due to the gratitude that I have for what I do have. That's the thing. Like I've been poor growing up. I've been poor most of my life, but I've been very wealthy. I've had time. That's the thing. I've had time. I've been given time, and I've used that time to learn many, many things about the world that are true. And that has led me to making friendships with people like Thor. It didn't just happen by accident. It happened through a series of decisive decisions to improve myself, and getting involved with communities like MLD's Mastermind, because I didn't get involved because I was trying to learn body language. I already knew all that shit, right? That actually just let me know that MLD knew what the fuck he was talking about. The thing is, for me, I wanted to do what he said. Oh, if you also want to get introduced to multimillionaires and learn from them, I'm just like, yes, that's what I need to learn. I need to learn about money, because that is the one of the 7 P's that Thor talks about that I am lacking in technically. I mean, I know people say, oh yeah, I invested in a nice studio, but once again, this is because I'm good at min-maxing. It looks far more impressive in terms of what it actually looks like versus what it actually is. Don't want to ruin the illusion or anything like that. But once again, this is what I do for work, starting my own business now, so I actually have a decent studio that I built with that knowledge that I've accumulated. And that's the reason why Thor wanted me involved with this project. I wasn't involved to get in the dragon ship. I think I talked about this over on Glenn's channel, is that Thor just told me point blank, the dragon ship was actually optional for me. He wanted me on board because of my technical abilities and what I could do in terms of growing the platform as he wanted to rebrand it. And he said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to see it through like I want to, but I know that it will be seen through no matter what. And he's by getting people like me involved, getting Glenn involved, getting everybody involved, his brother and, everybody, he just always brought people together. And that's why Thor is so formidable as a person and why, we call him the God amongst men. He dominates that personality himself. But the thing is that was because he understood that his true strength was the people around him and giving a shit about the people around him. That's the most important thing. A lot of people were more interested, like I said before, about the elevator pitching mentality. We're far more interested in ourselves than we are in others. And that's why I try to adopt the mentality of always trying to help people if they're having a problem and they're looking for a solution. Otherwise, I'm not even trying. Like I was one of the mistakes I used to make a long time ago, but land the plane on it here is that, I used to try to help everybody with their problems. Well, you can only help the willing. That's the key thing. But Thor made sure that he always made himself available when people were willing.
No, it's well said. Very well said. Guys, we are getting closer to time. We can still going for a little while. Kev, you said you got to probably bounce a little bit.
Yeah, it won't be long. But I want to just, this has been a great show. It's not one that we wanted to do. We knew it was coming. And Vidar, I hope you're at peace with it, sir. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sure you've heard that more times than you want to hear, but I am. I truly am.
I will tell you, I've spent pretty much every day with him for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
I would come home after work and be with him. I saw the decline, and there is a point where you pray for peace.
Yeah.
So I am at peace with that, So
I'm glad to hear that, sir.
And that's that was our prayers for the while. But he's left his mark, and
Of course,
his legacy will live on with all of you, and myself included. That we'll push forward with his insight to what is needed in this time so much. I see his book of The Dominant Masculine Presence is so important for our time, especially with these younger generations. And we see it in ourselves with, like Charles had said earlier, his diet was causing a high estrogen. Well, there's so much environmentally around us that are attacking these younger generations. So many are. There's no masculine figure in their life, and to have Thor point that out to people was a godsend for many, and it will be continuing in the future. And a lot of things that we see and do, it can be answered just by what used to be called manning up, being a man. And with his principles, it helps people reel that in. And the phenomena that he has brought, that when I first read his book, when he first gave it to me, before I came on the Dragon ship and the Dragon membership, I was amazed at you guys that actually were touched by his life and his book. And I was amazed back then, and still am today, that such a good quality group of people follow him and what he did. And there's no reason that with all of you, we can't take his message across the world.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's a responsibility of not only us, but all men out there to not only find your dominant masculine presence, but to exploit it and encourage it and teach it. And I think that we should all do that.
Well,
in
don't forget,
whatever way that is.
exactly, and don't forget, it gives a better life for all around. When a woman finds her femininity and she finds her masculine man, it's such a beautiful dance that was put together by the universe, and
Yeah.
it's so fulfilling for both sides. So that when we walk with the way we were intended to walk, we have a better life. People around us will have a better life,
Yeah.
and that's one thing that it all shows in your lives. So
For
again, I
sure.
appreciate seeing you, knowing you guys, and the outpouring you have for my brother will never be forgotten on me.
Oh, of course, sir. And then the future, I look forward to what that holds for all of us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I don't want to lose touch with any of you.
No, absolutely not. Charles, I want to reach out to you, sir. What are your final thoughts? I certainly appreciate you joining this show with us.
Well, just none of us wanted Thor to go, so I am very grateful though that he did get his final wish, which was to pass at his own home with his family, and as far as I understand it, more or less peacefully. As Vidar said, at a certain point you just hope that the suffering is eased, and fortunately it seems like Thor did get what he wanted. So I can be at peace even if I'm not, So moving forward, though, I will be involved with the rebuild, rebrand, whatever you want to call it. We've been over it on the channel before, where Glenn laid out the framework that because what Thor said to me was that he'll need me there to step in and be an advisor role for the technical details, right? Because I have a very good eye for detail across a broad spectrum of things. So that's exactly what I'm doing for Glenn, is giving him insight and details to the best of my ability, doing research to make sure that all the changes that need to be made will be implemented correctly, fairly, whatever, as Thor envisioned. And I had many conversations with Thor about what he envisioned. And he actually, one last thing I'll say about, one of the last conversations we had, he was telling me some of what he wanted to do. And I did some inference on what his vision was. And he stopped me and applauded me for how insightful I was to be able to understand what he was saying with little or no information to go on, and appreciated that. And, like I said, he thanked me for being involved to make sure that this shit worked. So that's what I'll be doing going forward. That's my way of making good on what Thor wanted and fulfilling what you just said, Vidar, and making sure that Thor's legacy does persist to the benefit of both men and women.
I love that, Tarl. Like, seriously, like way back when you were first coming on Dragon Ship, like your technical ability is it's beyond most. Let's just say. So
well, it's because I don't assume I'm right. I investigate and make sure that I'm right. That's what a man of integrity does. You ensure you're correct. You don't assume you're correct.
Yeah, and you do it the right way. So very much appreciate that. Elliot, I want to come to you. So I want to hear whatever you want to share, whatever's going on in your world, whatever final thoughts or memories, things about Thor you got.
Yeah, my final thoughts. The thing that keeps sort of coming back to me over the past few days since Thor's passing is over the past few years that I've known him, he always referred to me at a certain point as his long lost Viking son. And very similar to what Kevin was saying, there is a level of responsibility that comes with the relationship that we built with somebody like Thor and the education that he's given us, because he's equipped us with tools. We've all gained something quite tangible. And yeah, we have a duty based on his vision to project that into the future. And yeah, that's what's been going through my head in the past few days.
So then, Elliot, what are you going to do to project it in the future? What's coming next?
Well, it's interesting you say this. I think the first thing is to become the best version that you can be. In the same way that
Yes, sir.
the child is a good reflection of their parents, and the parents' teachings very similar in this scenario. Is that, of course, I mean, Vidar is obviously the great example here because he's his brother, but Vidar has told some stories before, and he's certainly learned a lot, and I'm sure it's changed the direction that his life has gone in a few times. So he's living those sort of things, and I think we need to do the same thing.
Yeah, and I think it's exciting because I know we've talked on the side that we've got some other things that we're personally dealing with in our lives, but I don't feel better equipped for those challenges than I do with Thor's teachings.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very, very beautiful thing. And couple that alongside what Kevin was saying, having a network in a community of guys like this, it's unbelievable. Anything becomes possible.
Yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Rising tide
Just
lifts
the
all
truth.
ships.
Yeah,
Could
we're
have-
gonna
could have not
probably
said it any
adopt that,
better.
Carl. Yeah, teamwork, having a team definitely makes it easier. But yeah,
Good
Right.
stuff. All right,
Rising tide.
let's circle around.
got to be ready for it.
Mhm.
Take the current, wherever it takes you.
Absolutely, and then having the team there with you to make sure that you can ride that tide, whatever tide may come through. Let's hop to Laurent. I want to hear your final thoughts. Yes, you, this guy.
Okay.
We're professionals.
Right?
We're professionals.
Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you. You know, good. The German poet used to say that there are two types of immortality. There's the small immortality or little immortality and the great immortality. And the small immortality or the little immortality is when people who knew you come to remember you after you passed on. And the great immortality is when people who didn't know you still remember you after you passed on. So all this to say that I do believe that the best compliment we can ever give Thor, that it is kicked the door, like he's blasted the doors of Valhalla and entered Valhalla raging. The best thing we can do, the best compliment we can pay him is to honor his legacy, to live through his teachings, and to be together, not to dismantle because he's gone, but to be together and to stay on together. Like Kevin said, like Hud said, like everybody said, we got to know each other through him. And the best thing we can know is, oh, now he's gone. Like, okay, now we go back to do our own things. No, I don't think it's a good idea. I think the best way to honor him is to stay together and to write the next chapter together. Ad memoriam.
This guy's on to something.
Very good thought.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
good
I love
plan.
it.
Sticking together through
So
thick and
yeah.
thin, through disagreements, through agreements. You stick together. You stay.
I
on
mean,
the
how did we get here? We got here through disagreements, being told we were wrong, going through different courses, going through different communities. Iron sharpens iron. So now that we're here at the sharpening, the best sharpening plant in all the land, why would we leave?
Yeah. So, AJ, we got to hear from you, buddy.
Start off with
Looking forward to it, man.
a WWTD. What would Thor do? Thor was, I'd say he started off as a mentor and a coach, but he became more than that for a lot of the guys in the space. He was more or less, for lack of better terms, a surrogate father to a lot of us. Last year, I wrote my first book, and through the writing process, it started me off on my second book, and it made me realize what my purpose in life is. And I actually came to Thor and Laurent around the time of my 35th birthday with a very, very important decision to make, and I went through with it. It's a tough one. I don't expect anyone to do it, but it helped shape my mission in life, my purpose in life. And with the unfortunate passing this weekend, it's added on to that mission as well. My main mission is to get over generational curses. I don't talk to my family anymore. And again, I suggest nobody take that lightly, but I sat and stewed for a while and talked with Thor, Laurent, Glenn on that decision. Mission now, on top of that, is to Thor's last word. Some of his last words to me were, "Keep up with it. Keep pushing the Sons of Thor. Work with Glenn. Work with whoever." And that was one of the things that I admired about that man so much was, with all the beefs that go on in the manosphere, the men's self-help communities, I don't think I know of anyone that had a beef with Thor. And that's why I'm able to work with HUDs, work with Glenn, work with Rolo, work with Vince from Masculine Geek. And that's because Thor also told me when Vince came to me to join the Masculine Geek for the D&D, he was like, I'm like, dude, I'm going to be on screen with Rolo. He's like, yeah, just understand this about Rolo, yada, and just be cordial with everybody. And that's the one thing that I loved about Thor is nobody ever had a beef with the man. And that's all I got. WWTD. What would Thor do?
What would Thor do? Dude, that's so brilliant. Because you're right. He never had a problem with anybody. And yet it seems like every creator, every coach, no matter who anybody is, always seems to have a beef. There never was one with Thor. It's a beautiful thing. Very beautiful thing.
Well, it's even more than that. Nobody ever tried to even start a beef with him.
Because there was no
Well,
purpose.
even if they were to, the thing is that because Thor wouldn't take it personally. This is one of the mentalities I try to embody myself, and even more so after seeing how well it worked for Thor. Because this was always a theory of mine that if you just don't let it be mind over matter, if you don't mind, it won't matter. Right? That's what I was taught about martial arts and the pain of bone density training. But the thing is, it applies mentally as well. A lot of people I see in mental anguish and pain because they can't let shit go. They can't move on. They can't agree to disagree. Very simple stuff. And Thor was one of those people, even if he disagreed with you, he was going to say it politely, like we talked about before, and kind of redirect it. I tell guys all the time, don't confront, redirect. And if you can't, really resolve a situation, you just do your own thing. You do separate. But a lot of guys want to feel spiteful, vengeful, petty about these things. And that's where Thor was always winning all the fucking time because he never held on to any of that stuff. So it was very hard for anybody to even want to hold anything against him because he was never disagreeable in a way that people felt significant enough to merit being mad.
He never took offense. And that's the thing that's important as well. We get comments on our shows. We might have 50 positive comments. Great show. Love what you guys do. Look forward to joining. Blah, blah, blah. We get 3. Oh, you guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Oh, just some dumbasses. That's what a lot of people let affect them. They want to respond to those instead of just saying thank you. So I don't even read the comments anymore because I really don't care. We come up here being as real as we possibly can and share as positive as we possibly can. So if you don't like it, I understand. If you love it, I understand. If you're indifferent, I understand. I'm not going to respond to anything anymore. That's the way I do it. And I think that's the best way to be. But so many people get caught up in the 3 negative comments out of the 50 positive comments that they let it skew their vision and skew their mission. And that's where everything goes wrong.
Yep. You can't please everybody. That's the problem. I made that mistake for many years thinking I could be friends with everybody. No, I can be friends with most people, but there are a few people that I probably can't be friends with. And it's not necessarily even because of me not wanting to be friends with them. It's because they think they can't be friends with me and make it true.
Yeah. It's not about being friends. It's about coming to a positive outlet. I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And I think that's really what Thor pushed. And I think it was so brilliant about all of the work there. Before we go, AJ, you had mentioned that there's going to be another stream or something that Glenn's going to do.
Glenn and Donovan Sharp are in the works on making another celebration of life live stream. Everyone here is invited.
Great.
We'll have people come up, share their stories, share the lessons, share their favorite Thor moments. probably talk about the Sons of Thor rebrand as well.
Mhm.
Sounds good.
Cool. Yeah,
we know when
I
that is?
definitely will.
I do not know when that is yet. Glenn and Donovan will let everyone know as soon as they can, and I will pass the information on. I've already talked with the guys from Masculine Geek, Vince and TJ, Robert Kusland, and the guys that we play D&D with as well. So they're gonna be interested in that. And with that, Vince has taken all the Masculine Geek live streams that he's done with Thor. He's gonna make a playlist with just those. So all the painting streams, all the D&D streams, as well as through the Drew Bay campaign. We are dedicating the next few episodes that we do to Thor, and I'm having to play his character as well as my own character, and we're going to give him a heroic last stand before it's over for him.
Thank you, AJ.
Yeah, and on that topic, per Glenn's instructions as well, AJ and I both reached out to as many people as we could, and where we have our networks, so I've reached out to the Fresh and Fit guys in the Castle Club and whatnot, let them know what's happened, what's going on, and let them know that we will be doing that service at some point in the near future. And when I got that info, I'll be distributing it to anybody. So if you're somebody that wants that info, feel free to hit me up. All my socials are on my website, so you can find me anywhere. Just hit me up, and I can answer your questions to the best of my ability. Give you that info when the time comes.
Awesome.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Hope I did my best to kind of hold it together. I'm not even too hot about this news, but I knew it was coming. And what makes it brilliant is because you have people like this around you. That's what Men of Now does. That's what the Dragon membership does. That's what Beer Club does. That's what Sons of Thor will do. That's what all of this is all about.
I want to
When you
thank.
have that- Go ahead.
I want to thank Men of Now and you HUDs for putting this together. I really appreciate it. It's thank you.
Well, Ryder, I'm going to say right now, from Men of Now, if there's anything needed from us, just let us know, brother.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Kevin,
Always,
congratulations.
large as it is, just let us know.
Kevin, all my encouragements on starting your business. If ever I can be of help to you, don't hesitate to reach out.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah. We're there for you, brother.
Fantastic. All right, I'm going to send this out with, I guess, what will be the final time. But God, I love it. And I love you guys.
But it's time to rest.